somewhere down there, and it's not too bad. Yeah, I'll instead of you wanting to go and buy an old tub, I'll put some give you back at buying or something.
Wouldn't do one of those vibrator pocket things that they clean.
Oh no, I
Feel
don't.
real really.
Oh, I don't. No, I don't. It's a liquid, of course, obviously. As long as you get it all off with clean water and soak it up, whatever. But if you do get the badge, I'd collect it for you or something.
Gentlemen,
Like you're it,
since John isn't here, I'll start the meeting, and when he turns up he can take over. Welcome to the ANS meeting 1216 at Philas House on the Monday the 11th of January 2021. We have a lot of apologies from David Mee, Lindy Hall, Les Carlisle, John Minukas, Joe Detling, Ian Sizeland, Ron Bolden, Jim and Chanel Noble, Colin and Sandy Pitchfork, Bob Clemson and Murray Brad. Are there any other apologies? Right. As you all know, I have the latest proclamation medal for sale. Anybody who hasn't got one, see me later and you can buy one. I made a big mistake last month. And basically, when we had our display, I tallied the numbers and I said, the winner is Tony Hoare. Well, the winner wasn't Tony Hoare, I'm sorry to say. The winner was actually display number 1. Display number 1 got 6 votes. And the winner was Pat. So, welcome. Well done, Pat. Tony is going to make the presentation.
So I'm going to make the presentation to Pat, if you want to stand up, Pat, and I'll present you with the medal you deservedly won. If you remember after you did your display,
Yeah.
I came up to you and I said, that was a very good display. You probably
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I came up and I said to you, and I must admit at the time, I thought to myself, well, that display was sort of better than mine. And
You
so
had all the females.
But that's why I did. So, Pat, that is yours. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Tony.
I had it for a month.
Yeah.
I thought I was on a roll, as a matter of fact, because a couple of months ago, I actually won a shield at the Northern Beaches Philatelic Society, where I managed to sort of exhibit something and I came up tops. And I was sort of quite surprised that I won that, and that particular shield I hadn't won in all the years I've been a member. And when I got that last week...
I haven't put those last ones down.
I'll get them off from you.
And anyway, it's all yours. You deservedly got it. I'm glad it's yours. Thank you for letting me have
I'll
it.
look at it after, because I know you have it.
You can do that again.
One for the photographer.
Thank you.
Good on you, Pat. Well done, mate.
Right.
Thank you.
Our February meeting is here at Philas House. And Graham Howard's not here. No, okay. The topic is bread, milk and other food tokens. So I'll have to remind Graham that we're relying on him to show us lots of those tokens. We do have our Coffs Harbour Conference on the 12th and 13th of June at Sanctuary Resort. The conference room has been booked and I've got the prices for everything. However, with the way COVID is, we really won't know until the latter portion of this year whether things are getting back to normal. And basically, I've set April Fool's Day, I guess, as the sort of cut-off date to really see if things are back to normal. By then, we should be getting the inoculations and things, and all the vaccines. So let's hope that things are a bit better to normal. But I'm suggesting to everyone that, one, if they haven't made a booking, if they're planning on going but haven't made a booking, do make a reservations because it's easy enough to cancel it. You know, but by April we'll know and you can cancel it. You know, it's not as if they're demanding payment or anything. And they haven't even taken my credit card details, and I've booked for Peter and myself.
Excuse me, Rod, did you get your numbers? You're after at least, 15?
Well, I said 15 minimum. I've got a lot. Yes, we've got more than 15 already who've said they're going to go, but it's conditional. It's conditional that the borders are open. And
Oh, that's true.
so, you know, all the Queenslanders, if there's a problem in New South Wales, they can't come down because they can't get back. And Peter Lane was saying he's not coming if there's a possibility that suddenly we're locked out at South Australia and he's sort of stuck in New South Wales, etc. So we do have that problem, which is why I set April as the sort of deadline, so that if we can't get it by then, we'll just cancel it. And Queensland were due to hold it again in 2022 anyway. So we'll go there. At the end of tonight's meeting, we will have auction 42. So those of you who wanted, there's a catalogue around so you can see what the state of the current bids are. The first 30 odd lots they're not good, not wonderful condition Australian coins, but I've tried to put them in year lots. They belong to a friend of mine. They're his father's coins, and he's trying to dispose of them. These are the better ones. All the ones that weren't as good, I've already taken to Nobles and sold them as bullion. So these ones there, we'll try and get, you know, sell as much as we can tonight, and whatever's left of Dave's, I'll see what he wants to do with them. Is there any other general business at all that anyone would like to bring up? Yes, Ross.
The IBNS are having their annual convention in Canberra a week before our planned one at Coffs Harbour. So it's the 5th of June.
Right. They usually have it in May, don't they?
Well, it's all to do with, once again, the COVID. So,
Yeah.
Because, that often had members come from Victoria and further afield.
Right. Oh well, at least it's not the same weekend, so it doesn't clash. Right, well, there's no other general business. Tonight's topic is one that's a little bit more difficult, I think, because I don't think most of us have a lot of Canada. Canada sort of hasn't featured a lot on our condition down here, so I hope you all have some Canada and that you brought it in to show us. Who would like to start? Frank.
As you said, we haven't got very much at all, but started with what we do have.
Is that the Devil's Head?
Yeah. Well, I'm not too sure. That's why I can't figure it out myself. That's why I was hoping you might be able to bring it up with a bit more magnification. What I've got is the Canada $1, well, they call them bills rather than notes. That's the dated there, Ottawa 1954. They were generally issued as a devil's face and a modified portrait note. Looking at the Queen's hair, you can see a shape that looks like a hook nose, bushy eyebrows and snarled lips. And that's, if you've got good imagination, because over her ear is where it's all supposed to be, but in that particular note, I don't know if that is the, well, I certainly can't see a devil's face in it myself.
It's a wig.
They weren't all devil faces, were they? No.
And because of the dual language there, they've noted all the information is in English and French. As I've said, that this note may not be may be the modified one, because I'm damned if I can make up my head. The reverse, the $1, shows a prairie and sky scene. It's supposed to be signed by Beatty and Coyne, or Coyne and Towers. But again, on those signatures, I can make out the Coyne and Beatty and that, but I can't make out the other one at all. It's something different altogether as far as I can. That one there, it certainly doesn't look like Towers to me. It looks like Ramsey or something.
It probably is, yeah.
But according to the information that I got, that's
Razminsky, Razminsky or something like that.
There was, of the Devil's Face ones, there were 183,968,800 of them printed. They don't mention how many of the so-called modified ones were printed. The $2 is virtually the same as the $1 bill, except that the reverse shows a farm landscape with hills and trees. And again, there was 88,612,000 of them, so they get pretty close figures if we're going by that, of the Devil's Face notes, but again, no figures for the modified ones. Same again with the signatures. I don't know if I can make out that.
Yeah, it's the same signature.
Yeah.
I'm just saying who printed it. It's the British American Banknote Company.
Yeah, right on the bottom there, yeah. Then we have two different 5-cent coins, or nickels as they like to call them. The first one, there's the Queen's portrait is on the obverse and an otter on the reverse. They're called a nickel, and they're basically composed of nickel and chrome. The 12-sided one is 20mm diameter. It was used up until 1962, and then in 1963 they changed to a round one, but other than that the detailing is virtually exactly the same. Then on the 25 cent, again we have the Queen, the English Queen, and Moosehead reverse, and that's 0.500 silver. I don't have a mintage number for them.
Here's that one. Oh, this one. That's a quarter.
I don't want to too sure actually whether they call it an elk or a moose. I think they do call it.
Caribou, is it a caribou? Caribou.
Caribou, sorry, yeah, that's right. I couldn't think of it.
Yeah.
And this one, I don't know, it's some sort of a medallion. It's just Victoria, BC, City of Gardens. It's only good for, I don't say how long for, but it expires. It has an expiry date on it.
The Canadians put out a lot of these tokens, municipal trade tokens, they're MTTs they're called.
Yeah.
And just about every one of their cities, little townships, put them out.
Yeah.
I'll be showing you a few more
Yeah,
later
so
on.
just as it expires, so obviously it's, you know, just I don't know what to call it.
Thank you, Frank. Anybody else? George? One of the auction lots, is it?
Sorry, I just took it off the table. I'll bring it. I'll take it back.
Mm-hmm. You've already got a bid on it from our Canadian member, so it must be good.
Has anybody been to Canada?
Yeah.
Yeah. You all know it.
I've been to Canada. I've been to Vancouver.
I lived there for 3 years.
Canadian friends.
It's a country just above USA with a straight line, which is the 49th parallel. They have 7 provinces like we have 7 states, and they're all straight line. Like Western Australia, it's just one straight line, that's west. We got British Columbia, Vancouver. I've been there, I saw the mint. You got Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, and on the very far end, on the east coast, is Labrador.
Nova Scotia and Prince Edward.
Unfortunately, the French influence in Canada has made the country supposedly bilingual. There's not too many English-speaking Canadians speak French, and in Quebec and part of Labrador, English is not a compulsory subject in school. I trained a lot of Quebecan chaps, and the only reason I got by is because I spoke French and I wasn't British. I was an Australian. So that's the story on that one. Canadian coins, like ours, a bit of a complication. We had West Brunswick, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, all these little parts of the provinces had their own tokens and coins. There was a time when there was 2 sous to a penny. But they copied the USA in a decimal currency and had cents. In today's auction, lot 100, there's 3 Canadian 1 cent pieces, the large ones, of George V, a 16, a 17 and an 18. And 18 is a good date. I think I saw one at Noble's auction with a couple of other coins go for $80. Reserve in here is $6. Canada has been noted for its $1 coin with the canoe and the 2 Indians rowing for their life.
The Voyager.
The 1 cent piece, this one here, with a maple leaf on it compared to the big ones, has been out since George VI. And you got your otter on the nickel, a blue nose sailing boat on the dime, the 10 cents, a quarter, 50 cents, and this is your $1.
The Voyager dollar.
Like Australia, Canada had the Olympic Games. And in 67, and they produced 7 series of these beautiful, absolutely wonderful Olympic coins. 2 $5 and 2 $10 ones, about 130 grams of sterling silver. This is series number 2. And I was fascinated by them when they first come out.
Montreal, wasn't it? Yes. Montreal, 76.
The $1 coin, British Columbia. Another one. I think this one here is a Manitoba. And the 1966 canoes paddling the Indians paddling the canoe. In 67, they produced their first $100 coins. Now they had sovereigns, only 4 sovereigns, 16, 17, 18 and 19, with George V. The mint mark C for Canada was on the bottom of the hoof, back hoof of the horse, not to be mistaken with the Indian C mint mark for Calcutta sovereign, which is in a different place. The one coin I have in gold is $100, once again a commemorative coin, and they were all in 22 carat, which is 91.67 pure gold. This one here was the first one, and it was only 14 carats, which was 538.538 of gold. So that's the only Canadian coins. But the proof series, they weren't very expensive when they come out. I've seen them selling at one stage for $90. And as I said before, one lot that is a good buy in today's sale is your Canadian pennies, lot 100. About 2 years ago, at the ANS auction, we had a flying goose commemorative Canadian dollar, a beautiful coin, which was later on pinched or annexed by Americans, and even here in Australia, where we had
The pattern.
the $100 silver coin, which was only a trial. Very, very scarce. I'll leave this back in there, and I'll leave you to it.
Anybody else? Russ. I bet you guys can't guess what he has.
Well, I've been keen to try and get a Canadian postal mark for some years. And believe it or not, they're a very, very scarce item. But lo and behold, this year I managed to get one. And that's what they look like. Now what happened was they came into it in the 1890s and requested examples from, for instance, New Zealand and of course England, and they ended up copying, making theirs from these designs of the Great Britain one and the New Zealand. These were from the 1890s. Apparently there is a Victorian effigy of Queen Victoria in one of their early ones. These are slightly later. The Edward VII, 1902. And they had an interesting way of putting a prefix. You know how the note printing's using a date to date our polymer ones. Well, what they did was they started off from A to M, and the letters constituted the denomination of the postal notes. So these are copies of ones from other collections, printed by the American Banknote Company in Ottawa, and they followed the British watermark by having Canada but the denomination in each corner. But as I say, each of these are different, and there'll probably be one or two examples in existence. While I've got you here, can I digress at all from Canada? Boss?
Is it Canada?
No. Sit down.
10 minutes?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Right, January, Postal Order News, and what I've been long trying to convince my dear mate Mick Ronald is that postal notes did serve as currency. And what I'm speaking of are the first Queensland ones and the first Western Australian. And one of the foremost numismatists in the country once said to me, they are only checks. Well, no, they aren't. There is no term of validity. Checks are 12 months from when they are dated, cannot be cashed in a dishonest style. Checks are paid against cleared funds or by arrangements with drawer's banker. When checks are deposited, there can be up to at least 7 days till they are cleared. Furthermore, Queensland and Western Australian first issue postal notes are payable on demand to bearer. There is no space to allow for a payee to be written. However, they could be banked if crossed with a pay to name written across them. Now what I turned up recently was, I can pass these around anyway, just for you to have a little look through. And this was the convincing thing for me. But I found this newspaper clipping from a Darling Downs Gazette, August 1880. Now the first postal notes in the world were issued in Queensland in November 1880. So this editorial, it's quite lengthy, but I'll only read a pertinent part. The first and obvious use for these notes is transmission by post in payment for small sums due. Traders who have to receive small sums from a numerous number of people scattered over the country will see at once the value of these notes in facilitating payments. No one who has had some personal experience in the matter can tell how great is this apparently trifling difficulty of finding a small currency transmissible by post to accomplish these petty transactions. As newspaper proprietors, we hail the reform with a special pleasure and are not in the least surprised to find it suggested by a minister himself, a newspaper proprietor. That's referring to Mr. Buzzacott. He was not only the Postmaster General, but he was the one of the local members. But we are inclined to think that this little bill will affect a great change in the currency of the colony, especially in country districts. Paper money is much more handy than coin, more easily carried about and packed away, thus banknotes are largely used in place of sovereigns. The disadvantages attendant on the use of coins increase with their decrease in value, and so strongly, meaning the smaller denominations are bulkier to carry. Lower denominations are current. Its place is supplied by orders issued by local storekeepers, station managers and traders of all kind. You might have recalled the calabashes and such. And, issued by storekeepers, like the tokens that we've collected over the time. Well, these bits of paper of doubtful legal value are accepted and used by labourers and others in the bush in default of anything better. Besides leading to any amount of fraud, this illicit currency exposes bushworkmen to a good deal of inevitable loss. So I'll wrap it up with that anyway. But I'm just pushing out my little point. Now, one more thing. One more thing. Nothing's been really written on child endowment orders, and I thought I'd covered about 5 different series of them, starting from around 1940, 41. Lo and behold, this turns up in Jim's auction, which to the ordinary eye doesn't appear of any great importance, but it actually is a completely different design to all the ones I've listed so far. So this is another one, new one, even though I've been through records at the Reserve Bank, nothing shines a light on this particular one. So with that, I ended up paying a record price for it. It ended up about $480, which seems a lot for a note. And where I can come undone, of course, is that if more in the booklet that they were in, they were up to 13 of them in a booklet, if more of them come to life. But I'll hold my breath.
You can buy them all and corner the market.
Yeah, sure. Okay, that'll do.
Anyone else?
With the exposition?
Yeah, sure. Then I'll bore you with my Canadian stuff.
We have all seen tons of Australian pennies. We've all seen tons of Australian pennies with a kangaroo on it. But have you seen a coin of Australia dated 1920 with a kangaroo on it? What I think has happened is, like today, there may have been a press release saying these are the new coins that are coming out. It will have a kangaroo on it. The big news about 1937, 1938, when the kangaroo on the penny came out, was the abdication of Edward VIII. A few countries issued coins with his denomination on it, but not Australia. So in the confusion, maybe someone said, I wonder what the penny will look like with a kangaroo on it. And so this is the result. The base coin is a 1920 penny on the reverse, and someone had a stamp, and it looks like similar to the kangaroo on the coat of arms or the Kangaroo Office, Australian kangaroo. Just one of those odd things. Now, I don't know what the laws were regarding defacing currency back in the 1930s. Maybe he only made the one, maybe there's a lot out there, but I have not seen one before this.
It's incused on the other side, huh?
Just one of those odd things that turn up. Thank you.
Yes, it is unusual, Morris. Right. Canada. I thought you'd all bring the normal Canada stuff, so my stuff is a little bit different. Mine's more modern. As you know, yes, of course it's bimetallic. What a silly question.
Yeah, it was.
Canada issued a new $1 coin in the, I'm not sure if it was 80s or 90s, and it had a duck or a water bird on it, and the Canadians called it the loony, a loony bird or whatever. Yeah. Then they issued a bimetallic $2 coin with a polar bear on it, and the polar bear coin First coin I have is 96, and I think that was the first year of issue. Yeah, 1996, and on the reverse side there's a polar bear. And they, since the $1 was called the loonies, they called the $2 the toonies. So the $2 coin in Canada is always called a toonie. That's how it derived its name, because the $1 with the bird on was the loonie. This is the toonie. When they issued in '96, they issued in several different style. They had the normal one, and then they had a proof one, and then they had a proof silver one with a silver ring. So you could get the three. As they went on in years, they were issued, again, the normal, the proof, and the proof silver, but nowadays they issue 5 different varieties. So they issued the normal one, they issue a special strike. Some of them, I don't have the latest ones here, but some of them next to the date, they have the maple leaf. Others, they have different designs on them. So there's the proofs, and then there's business strikes, and there's each year now there's 5 different ones coming out. So that's what they look like. Let's see if I have any others. That 2009, 2010. So yeah, that's the 2009 coin. You see the little maple leaf underneath the Queen's bust there on the ring, and the 2010 is the proof. Also, amongst one of the others we showed was a MTT, this one that Frank showed us, the municipal trade token. The Canadian cities and townships, every year they have a little festival, and in the period of the festival they put out a series of municipal trade tokens, usually to sort of 25 cents, 50 cents and $1. In the later years, because they were thinking of all ways to raise money, not only did they put out a $1 one, but they put out $1 ones with bimetallics as well. So they knew there was enough of us mugs around to buy it. So, you know, I mean, when you're on a good thing, fleece it. So it continued. I left the 30 odd that I have at home, because once you've seen one MTT from a city, and they do it every year, and they change the design slightly, it becomes a bit boring. So I didn't bring those, but I did bring a few other Canadian bimetallics, and these are bimetallics that were actually had a function other than making money. These two are transit tokens in Toronto Airport. And so this Transit Commission. So valid for one fare. Sorry, I'm not sure if this is actually a bus token or a ferry token, but
Right. Could we have a look at the reverse of the first 3 coins there?
the polar bears, all the same. Later on,
Yeah, the polar bear, yeah.
Probably looks nicer than the proof.
later on with the $2, they had the polar bear with the cub, and they've had a few commemorative ones as well. I don't think I have any here with the small ones. No, these ones here only go up to 2011. So we have the transit tokens, so it's good for one fare, so I'm not sure if it's a bus fare or what. But also, Toronto Airport had a ferry token. And it seems to get to Toronto Airport, you can take a ferry. And again, it's Toronto City Centre to Airport. They've called it the ferry token.
Well, I've lived there for 3 years, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's the Harbour Commission. Well, you probably didn't have to take a ferry to the airport, to Tirana.
Kept away from it.
Yeah. Other ones that were issued, the Edmonton Numismatic Society put out this one for their 29th of August, don't know what year it is. Sorry, it's 1988, it says at the first. 1998, Canadian Numismatic Association Convention, and the Edmonton Numismatic Society produced this $2 token. So maybe the convention was held in Edmonton and they produced these tokens for people to use at the convention. That's my some assumption anyway. There's another one here. Autobus Fournier, Quebec. So obviously it's in French, so it's a bus token of some sort in Quebec. Similar on both sides with the fleur-de-lis.
Tells the story.
This one is an interesting one because it's a peace token on the bridge, the public bridge between Buffalo, between Canada and America, on the Peace Bridge. And they have this token, but look at the way it's constructed. It's not a ring token. It's there. And you sort of say, how the hell does it stay on? And if you look very closely on the sides, there are little clips and things that hold it on. But at first glance, I'm thinking, that's impossible. You can't have that and there. But the sides show the construction. And the last one I have tonight is another one. Again, it's at Niagara Falls. It's the wrong way around. Niagara Falls. So it's the bridge over the Niagara Falls from Canada to America. And they put a bimetallic out for that. The Whirlpool Bridge. Rainbow Bridge. Lewiston to Queenstown. Again, bimetallic. I'm surprised because I ended up buying a lot of those municipal trade tokens, how many Canadian tokens and bimetallics I've got. And as I said, with the $2 coins, in the latter years, you didn't buy one because there were 5 different. So, if you wanted to, you could buy them. But I never spent money on proof coins. They were just too much. I prefer to get circulated coins. There was one year, I don't know if I've got it amongst this lot. Let's see if I can find it. One year where the $2 coins were also produced under Winnipeg Mint, and it had a little W mint mark on it, so that was nice to have the different one. This one was put out in 1999 when they created a new territory, the Nunavut territory. So they put out that special with the indigenous person on it. sort of catching fish or whatever they do through the holes in the ice. So, Nunavut. That's in the Northwest Territories. And just see if I started to collect the off-centres. There's quite a few people who do collect off-centre strikes where there's a bit of a gap in them. This one's slightly off-centre somewhere. You really can't see it very well on that coin. See if this one's any better. Yes, it's slightly better. There's you can see a little bit of gap along the ring in here, so the centerpiece wasn't fully struck. Maybe it was the end of the sheet when the planchets were made, so there is a gap between the center and the outer ring. Not enough to really see much through the light. There is a little bit of light that shines through, but there's a lot of people collect the error coins, and they're not common, but they're not uncommon. And that, gentlemen, is my contribution for the night, sir. Thank you. Right. Tony, do you want to turn the kettle on?
I've got one already on, so
And
I can
we
do that.
we can
Yeah,
have a few discussions for a few minutes.
yeah, right.
Does anyone else collect Canada at all? You interested in Canada? I mean, you've got a few Canadian coins. You
No, that's,
going back?
likes of that, they weren't mine, I borrowed out of that set that I'm looking after.
Noble Numismatics. I think maybe 10 years ago, they had a consignee that came in with a Canadian sovereign. And what he didn't know when he consigned it to them was it was a really rare date and a rare sovereign. And Jim got a very good price for the person who was selling it. So he was very, very happy because, you know, he thought it was worth a few $100s or a bit more. I don't know exactly how many thousand he got, but it was quite a bit. So it's always nice to, you know, to know the dates and to know what's rare. Canadians, when I used to collect by type, the Canadians had a few gold coins, and the early gold coins, they weren't that easy to get, and they were quite expensive. Did you have a question, Ross?
No, something slightly different, but let George.
Is there a $2 coin with a polar bear on it?
Yes.
By metallic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is.
Yes.
$2?
It's $2.
Yeah, something I caught on the news coming in also was about Bitcoin.
Oh yes.
I don't know what anybody's feelings are about Bitcoin, but I partly don't understand it. But
It's
anyway,
going mad.
apparently,
It's Bitcoin. It's going
this
up and
year,
going down.
You could have bought it earlier in the year. It's still calling 2020 and 2021. You could have bought it for around $20,000.
Yeah, went up to 32 or so. Yeah,
Went up to over 56,000
56 now.
Australian.
Oh, sorry, that's the US. Mhm.
Today or something, or yesterday, it dropped by 10%. But what was intriguing was there was a chap being interviewed who's running a company that's specialising in these in the cryptocurrency.
Already.
There was a question asked that how many people in Australia are interested in Bitcoin? And apparently, over the last 12 months, at one stage, there was a huge number of people interested in Bitcoin to the extent that this company had to put on 200 staff to answer the inquiries. Now, whether he's colouring it, don't know. But yeah, he was putting it as an alternate investment to gold, for instance, or he said, you know, you might want to invest on the share market, you might want to invest in land or buildings.
I mean, they always talk about blockchain with that, you know, there's a record of every transaction and they're doing millions of transactions. But basically, you're trusting them.
Mm.
You're trusting them with your money. It's like PayPal. You know, you've given PayPal the money to send across to your friend somewhere else, etc. The payment goes across. But it's like everything else. It's a matter of trust.
Well, he was doing a definite comparison to investing in gold, saying gold will, you know, where do you store it and what do you achieve with it. Whereas with Bitcoin, there's a finite amount of Bitcoin, and he was quoting $3 trillion. Now, whether that's at the new
That's
price,
his
when it
lot
was
of finite.
priced, I
But
don't know.
somebody else has another cryptocurrency with 3 trillion or whatever.
Well, there's hundreds of them currently popping up because, you know, it's just...
And basically, if they've taken your money, I mean, you have to have bought the Bitcoin. So you're crediting your money to them to do the transaction to pay somebody else. It is a trust.
But sorry, just let me... Well, I've got slightly in my thoughts. What he was saying also was, and as I say, it was as if it was an advertisement for it. He was saying how a lot of the large financial institutions, superannuation schemes, banks, were now investing in Bitcoin, and I find that rather difficult to believe.
Very strange.
Because I can't imagine a bank authorising somebody to buy Bitcoin at $50,000 each.
It might be his bank. His
I did read
Bitcoin
a couple of
bank.
years ago where somebody was selling a property and he would only accept Bitcoin in payment.
Well, one of our members of the Postal Law Societies is Andrew Clifford, who produced a magnificent book on New Zealand banknotes, and basically that's how he made a lot of money out of Bitcoin. Whether he's still involved with it, I don't know. Tremendously nice guy, but switched on in that area.
Well, gentlemen, now that the kettle has boiled, I invite you to check the lots. If you're interested in bidding on any of the lots, tell me the lot number, because only those ones will be auctioned here. And have a cup of tea, or coffee, or cake, or biscuit. You're allowed to take your mask off.
Good.
Good. Okay. With lot 40 you wanted, wasn't it?
Well, now they're alcohol in the world is a big thing. I'm not trouble there. But you can drive a car. You can join the army at 16, or when they have national conscription. But when you're in the military, you can.
On the producing those.
Quickly then.
I got January's one too before Christmas.
You are that figure?
Oh, that's fine. Have you got an email address? Yeah, sure.
Somewhere in the world. Running around the warehouse. We should work in the warehouse because we get so much diesel, but also drive the gas.
You don't see them very often.
Like next door is a transport yard, so
When I saw that, I was thinking, oh, wonderful.
yeah.
I haven't seen a 32. I don't have a 32.
And they're running all the time. We get all the, we just walk in there and get new boxes that sit there for.
Now, George,
Yeah, they come
how many
in
coins were you up
7:30 in the
You were
morning. You get past them at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you can do that.
not 40?
On the foot.
Is that the only one?
And we also have a yard across the road, pretty close to the concrete.
Oh,
So we've got that going.
No, but how many in the auction?
Oh,
You
you've
want
got,
40? You want the gold coin? On that. Were there any other coins you wanted to bid on? They're the current coins.
That's why we just couldn't have wearing it, because they're more dangerous than what they're worth. But they were popping in, you couldn't hear them.
Anything of interest, Morris?
Oh, that's all right.
No.
Yes,
We
there
didn't have
is,
anything
but
this time.
no. You finished?
Yes.
Thank you.
The kangaroo.
I thought it was unusual.
It is.
Quilts. Carol's a quilt.
It's unusual that it's infused from those. And this used to be a...
As long as you keep it in, you don't have to worry about it.
I think it's just got the form, but you can read the date, it's 1920.
Good.
It became fairly heavy.
This used to be a ring that...
I think that's right, in England, that's right.
Yeah, well, that's the normal of 120.
All right, well,
Yeah, it's good. Unusual. It must have taken a lot of pressure to push that one through.
So's Germany,
Yes.
so's Israel, but you can go on and on and on.
I'd be hesitant to buy that coin. So that sort of money. Snowstorms,
everyone's looking at the answers anyway.
Spain, yeah, I know.
Buy A&S coins.
you come by those.
Buy our cheap A&S coins.
if it answers the door, they'll put their mask on.
Even better.
Every time I go to the door, they'll put the mask on. Gotta go next door. It's, they put the mask on.
Take any of the others out you want, Pete.
As long as you drink the beer, you don't have to wear a mask.
Can I get one of each of these?
Sure.
Thanks.
Can you get one of each? Take them out and go back as well.
I don't know, I'll do it.
You do it with the pack. You're not going to get a reflection?
I mean, the boys, but oh, better get
I learned
one.
enough to think
Oh,
that that's
right, so you wanted to buy it.
Yeah,
Okay.
So you don't have to bring a cup to
but
them.
I should
Well, we do, but
transfer
they're
it
in the
to,
back, but while we here, we use these, we'll use these.
Well, maybe you can photograph them at home. When you take it home, you can take it out of the pack and photograph it at your leisure.
Both of those are doing all sorts of work. Yeah.
There's quite a number of trains still in the air all over our city.
Well,
I better pay for it.
There is construction taking place.
Okay,
People have got their jobs.
I'll write you a receipt.
So, where have you been? Where have you been? Up the mountains.
Everyone was telling you to a holiday in Kabul, in Afghanistan.
The name of Blaney, 35k
Yep,
out of
thank you.
Bathurst is actually where I was.
There could be some Afghanistanis living there, but I mean,
I wouldn't know because I go out there and I hardly see anybody, hardly talk to anybody, except, I don't know, illustrious figures
well,
of the
this being a
past.
day and age, nobody's out there walking around to be able to talk to it.
I know,
It's amazing.
Bloody is on the way to Orange, I know that much, yeah. When you go to the park and you go to Orange,
Yeah.
What provinces were you in?
There you are, Pete. Your receipt is underneath.
Provinces were
Thank
you
you, Gordon.
Winnipeg? I've got no idea. What I do have is
Is it
a
Manitoba?
commemorative plate.
I don't know.
And
So long,
all the-
Morris.
all the
See you next
stats and all
It was up printed with all of it.
Yeah, it's I don't know, the major sort of divisions of Canada. It's a sort of, I don't know. Canada celebration sort of place.
There's another